This is the Silt Verses Drowned Revelations Part 4. And last session, we concluded the floating market. Our custodians are still investigating Young Jolly Junk and the Dusk Mother. And we will add a new assignment here pretty shortly. But we didn't do rewards from last time. So I want to start there, and then we have a couple verses. So we'll kind of step our way into this this next session. And we don't have Dr. Quick with us this session, so we're just going to say that he's tying up loose ends. Those interviews with the Institute officials are very tedious, and yeah, they're probably making sure that things are all cleared up in their eyes before they let this custodian on his way again. For rewards, I put them in the Keeper. Under the assignment. It should be at the bottom, or if you click the rewards little tab there, it'll bring you to that part. So actually half of them are you just basically can make up. You ask another custodian what item you find from the market. Or you can choose to have a specific vendor become a recurring side character who you can consult on matters of black market goods and materials. Once per assignment, you can use this information to discover a clue. And then you can also have an abandoned motorboat. So, got some options. Anyone has any thoughts on what would be fun?
I'm happy to take an item from the market and perhaps Bastion can tell me what it is.
Yeah, sure thing. I think that in the market, you find I think that you find an old phonograph record of a supposedly lost recording of an opera.
I love that. Thank you.
I think I'm probably going to just go for an item from the market as well, and so I'll ask Zeph what I find.
I think that you find a. Let me see. Don't you do scrimshaw? You find a scrimshaw tool that has a handle made of bone that is carved with various sigils and maybe some names that you don't quite recognize yet. It might take you some time to figure out who these are, what these sigils are from. And I also don't know what a scrimshaw tool looks like, so if there's multiple kinds, dealer's choice. Like that's up to you.
Yeah, I'm not sure, but I'm imagining some sort of like a Bradle type, yeah, it's something spiky and
sharp,
scrapey, yeah.
I think I'm going to choose something from the market too. And Merriweather, I would love for you to tell me what I find there.
Ew. I think that Jones and Company was working on like a smaller, more portable version of their pit in a box product. And I think you got in your hands on one of those.
God. Oh, I'm excited.
It actually is one of, if you resolve the assignment a different way, that's one of the items you can get. So I'm going to find that and paste it for you.
Wait, that's amazing.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
Elle, you're so on it.
Yeah. If you if you negotiate with the vendors, you can basically get all the weird stuff that you discovered.
Oh, negotiating. We
Oh yeah, no,
you
that works too. So you can destroy any object placed inside this pit in a box, or temporarily cause any person or entity that reaches into the box to disappear, and the keeper will introduce them at a later time and place. Can't wait to see what you do with that.
Whoa, yeah.
So
It's a lot of power. Thank
Mhm.
you.
Good stuff. And then we'll ask John next time what Dr. Quick chooses. Yeah, and then there were a couple Ellis reminded me there's a couple verses from last time. We can do them whenever, but if anyone has any in mind that they want to narrate, we can do that now, or we can wait a little bit.
Yeah, I've got two to narrate because last session did not go well for me. I think I'll do one now, so I can spread them out a little. Now I've just got to decide which one to do first. Yeah, I think I'm going to go for my mask of my verse of history, and I've chosen a flashback to your adulthood, showing the parts of your life you neglected in pursuit of miracles. So I think we kind of see almost like a montage of shots of this small town, barely more than a village, out in the marshlands, and we kind of see probably hear first kind of a rumble of a motorbike engine as we see kind of Bastion drive into town. It's sort of in the evening, and yeah, he's on this old bike, sort of Triumph looking, quite old, lots of chrome and enamel, but not the sort of bulky Harley Davidson style. As he's driving through the evening, we see kind of, rather than the usual single headlight, we see two lights gleaming in the dark with slightly greenish cast to them, and he sort of pulls up outside a house. We see sort of seen from a distance of him kind of meeting with family members there, and we see the next day there's a funeral at which he's in attendance, and we get the same scene sort of again. It's obviously a little while later and again, and each time he comes there's just one or two fewer people in attendance at the funeral, and we see kind of as he's leaving one day, we see his we see a woman, a sort of middle-aged woman, looks like it could well be his mother, says is kind of sort of waving goodbye to him as he's leaving, and he said, I'm sorry, Mum, I don't get back as often as I could. It seems I only ever get back for funerals these days. And says, yeah, well, it would be good if you could be here more often. And I think we just kind of get a sort of a shot over the back of his mum's shoulder, and we just see a white hand just placed on her shoulder. And he says, I think I'll be back soon. She says, well, see you then, love. And he just gives her a hug and turns around and gets on his bike without replying.
Getting right back into it. Does anyone feel like following up that?
I can do mine only because I'm sure I'll fail a bunch of rolls again this session.
Sure.
And have more to mark later. Although I will be suing David for emotional damages after the session. Yeah, my verse is the Ashen Circle, a flashback to a time your words had dire consequences which you could not take back. So I think we flash back to Merriweather. She's laying in bed with someone, like kind of side by side. She's humming softly to herself. We see like the sort of strange like twilight coming through the window. She looks about the same age as she was in the previous verse at the audition, although it's unclear whether this is before or after. And it's raining outside. Through the window, we see a town not unlike Weft, a town that's sort of heaving its last breaths. And we don't see the face of this other person who's in bed with her, but we see like, you know, a bit of blonde hair, a bit of stubble, a jaw clenched in worry. And we hear his voice saying, "The oil's drying up here. Maybe I should just leave and try to find opportunity somewhere else. Would you come with me if I do?" And we see Merriweather contemplate. She never really planned on staying here in the first place because she hasn't gotten what she wants out of this place yet. She hasn't seen how these people really live. She hasn't pumped the experience dry. Her eyes sort of gleam in the semi-darkness. Well, if the oil's drying up, they'll want another sacrifice then, right? You have an opportunity right here to do more, to be more. I mean, imagine it. Every time they think of you, they'll think of someone who gave everything to save them. I wish I could do it. I mean, I would do it if they'd let me. And she doesn't know if this is the truth or just a sort of performance. But he certainly takes it as the truth, and those words sort of take root in him. They grow like a seed of hope. All the endless drudgery could mean something in the end if he lets it, if he's brave enough. So when the time comes, he volunteers, a willing sacrifice. And we cut to Merriweather with her camera, her heart fluttering, unsure whether this feeling is a deep abiding love or just anticipation. And now when she thinks back to this moment, it's in sort of impressionistic images. Prayer marks on the oil rigs, blonde hair dyed black by the dark sludge, a face absorbed into the rapidly filling oil pool, deep, sad eyes unblinking, and what was left of a dwindling town dancing, their hands raised up to catch the sweet black blood spray from the ground, and the gurgling screams from the oil pool, the words that Merriweather hopes she only imagined. I take it back. I take it back. I take it back.
No. Wow, with the camera and everything. These are heavy hitting verses to start off with. Amazing. Thank you for those. I'm sure there will be more. So I'm going to introduce a new assignment here, which is the Bowered Companion, which B here actually wrote. So this will be fun. And we'll see where we want to go from here. Y'all are still a little bit split up. So you learned that the trade roads have cut through the Whisper Plains. These trade roads have been fueling the economy for decades, and they're the way that trucks transport modern conveniences across the peninsula. They're the only way into and out of rural settlements scattered across the countryside. And they are, despite the heavy environmental toll they take, a simple fact of life. Who do we think grew up in the most remote area here? out of our custodians? Any volunteers?
I'm gonna say not Zeph. I think he grew up in more of a city area.
I was thinking of Merriweather as a city girl too.
We go
Yeah,
with
then
Bastion.
it sounds like Bastion probably was. Yeah,
At least with your verse too, I see you kind of spending more time out in rural areas. Yeah. Especially, the motorbike thing. So Bastion, how do you know that the trade roads take an equally heavy toll on the people living near them? And how has this affected you or someone that you know?
yeah. I think um I think that it's not just the obviously there's the usual um issues of sort of you know um pollution from the fumes and the like, and the just the kind of uh the actual construction of the roads themselves, breaking up areas. But I think the thing that's the most um uh like dangerous or disruptive to people is the kind of the inexorable pace of the transportation vehicles. They are um sort of when possessed um kind of um the divinity of the sort of uh freight gods, um they're sort of unerring. They'll kind of plow through
Hmm.
things. The roads themselves seem to kind of uh almost expand over time,
Hmm.
taking up more space. Um and I think Bastion, lost a friend where, as I said, as mentioned, sort of him, that he's sort of been into motorbikes for a while, and he's definitely had a friend he knew from those sort of days killed by one of these trucks.
Yeah, it's almost like the Silt Verses equivalent of self-driving vehicles, but in a
Yeah,
worse
yeah.
way. Yeah. Oof. Interesting. Love that. So interesting. Yeah. So recently, an essential route has been blocked near the rural settlement of Ulm on the edge of the Whisper Plains. This woodland trade road has been engulfed in an impossibly thick fog that seems to be spreading. So a large shipping company called Fatings Ferry and Freight that regularly uses this route has reported instances of their drivers being forced off the road and then disappearing entirely. And similar reports are coming out of the town of Ulm itself, where residents have begun just wandering into the surrounding fog, never to be seen again. Um, According to the information the Bureau has got, that the locals are crediting these instances to a now neglected god of missing travelers called the Bowered Companion. But there's very little documentation on this god, and the locals have not been forthcoming with further details. But there's a major trade road at risk, possibly more to follow, and of course, that means the custodians have to come in and take care of this as quickly as possible. Got to keep the goods flowing. Um, so let's see. I think I will ask Zeph this one. You've heard of neglected and forgotten gods lashing out. What detail from the reports makes you think that this one is particularly desperate?
Man, asking me my own question. I think um Zeph hasn't been a custodian for an exceptionally long time, but he's lived in the world, and as a follower of the Saint Electric, he's kind of kept an eye on the the saint's behavior and also the behavior of the other gods that she sort of branches down and touches, and really voracious gods that are neglected often seem to act erratically and without pattern. A god's sacrifice pattern is generally predictable. Rivers rise at certain times and fall, fires burn and then fade away, but this is like there's no discernible pattern. It's just large amounts of people and then none going missing. It
Mhm.
sounds like it's a bit erratic and unpredictable, and
Mhm.
that's what makes Zeph think maybe this is particularly bad.
Yeah. Yeah, trucks and then individual people, and either way, you haven't heard much about this god, so definitely something to learn and investigate. So your questions and opportunities for this one, the first is just complexity 2. What is the quickest way to retake the trade route, destroying the god or appeasing it? And then from there, you unlock 2 other options. You can, if you decide that it's destroying the god, how is it vulnerable? And if you decide that it's appeasing the god, you have to decide what must be sacrificed to do so. And you also, like all the assignments, you have a unique verse. This one is the verse of the abandoned altar. So you can use that at any time. But back to the custodians, Merriweather's with the skeletons, and Zeph and Bastion are at the Mortel plastic refinery. You do have that tugboat. You have options for where you could go from here. Things are getting a little out of control, so I think I'd want to start there and see where what you would like to do.
I mean, I don't know about Bastion, but Zeph is considering skedaddling
Mhm.
very heavily.
Makes sense.
Yeah.
You have a bunch of clues,
So-
actually. Yeah.
We do. Oh,
Yeah.
we do. Let me look. Wrong tab. How many clues do we have for this? Is it that I was
You
like,
have
that's the Dust Mothers. We have
you have
6.
6. Mhm.
Okay. We could give it a shot. What do you
I'd
think?
I'd definitely be up for trying to transform young Jolly Junk into something less destructive,
Oh, cool.
which we could potentially get with 6.
Yes,
No,
it looks.
we could potentially get any of them, I guess, but you know what I mean.
True.
Yes,
Yeah.
absolutely. Yeah, I would, and yeah, I think because the first one, putting it in a more stable form, that would actually get us a plus instead of having to do a flat roll.
Mhm.
And it doesn't seem like people want this god to go somewhere else. It seems they like her,
Mhm.
you know, and so it seems like maybe we might have a harder time with that other one.
It would be a little more involved. You haven't really
Little bit.
interacted, yeah, with her followers and stuff, or not in a very easy way, I guess.
I actively avoided them.
Yeah, yeah.
Not sure they like me. So I'm definitely down for that. I think
Yeah.
definitely Zeph is down for getting back on that tugboat, leaving the yacht person.
Mhm.
I don't care what I like.
Sure.
We got the payment. I don't know about you, Bastion, but I don't care about this person anymore.
He'll pay his way somewhere else.
It's fine. He knows the CEO or
Yeah.
whatever.
Yeah. So we can be thinking about that, and then meanwhile for Merriweather, before we get into like scenes, what do you think your next kind of approach is going to be? You're with the skeleton family. Seems to be going well so far. Very hungry baby they have. Um, some interesting dinner choices. Any thoughts?
Yeah, I'm thinking Merriweather's next move is either to sort of try to leave them be during dinner and maybe creep around uh, the ranch house a little bit. Um, or maybe to try to, you know, further ingratiate herself and maybe see what they will reveal about the Dusk Mother and her nest.
Yeah. And let's just review that real quick. For the Dusk Mother, you have 2 clues so far. The first question is complexity 2, which is where's the angel's nest located? And then from there, you have options for how to resolve it, either to weaken or drive away or destroy the angel, or go a little bit deeper and figure out what purpose drives the angel and kind of help it protect something else, kind of a bigger picture, like I don't know if the word is not rehoming, but yeah, help it dwell somewhere else instead of this family being dependent on it. For the question of young Jolly Junk, do you all have some ideas? Do you want to take a quick break to think about it? Either way is fine.
I think I've got well, at least a starting point.
Sure.
If so, yeah, I think so the question is, how can young Jolly Junk be transformed into something less destructive? And I think I'm going to start off with the island far offshore, and I think the idea that I have here is that currently the issue with young Jolly Junk is obviously that she's floating around in the water, and that's what's causing the disruption. So if we can get her to kind of take up a permanent home, then that aspect of the issue will be resolved.
Mm-hmm.
I really like that. And I think part of it is that she's sort of been corrupted by the pollution. Like it's like there's too much of it for her to sort of filter. And so I think that's the cleansing rain thing might be something to utilize in that, like maybe getting her away from this hazardous waste and into a more, like into a cleaner area will transform her back into something more contained, or containable on this island far offshore rather than up in everybody's biz.
I like the way that ties into the mist too. Like it says it's a mist shrouded island, and cleansing rain seems to go together pretty easily. Yeah.
And go ahead. I see Elle unmuted. Do tell.
I unmuted only because I have a terrible idea.
Please,
Yeah.
I love terrible ideas.
Let's hear for those.
Well, if I'm correct, am I correct in thinking that saints in the Silt Verses universe are created through sacrifice, like human sacrifice, right?
Absolutely.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, I see one of the clues is a book on how to create a saint of young Jolly Junk. You also have a recruitment flyer for holy activists for young Jolly Junk. I wonder if a sacrifice might be called for here. Could be interesting.
I love that. I'm so here.
And we know that obviously the people here are, do seem to be genuinely devoted to her as well. So, it's obviously, they'd be willing to do what's necessary to ensure the livelihood of their god.
Of course. And if not, we have someone who maybe needs to go somewhere on a boat, and we have the only boat.
Wow. A boat that's not caught up in the rest of that flotilla. Like
exactly.
Yeah.
So I'm
and
just
you have
saying,
your own tugboat. Yeah.
We have our own tugboat, and we might have other people that want to get on it. So I'm very into sort of maybe the concept of like creating or facilitating the creation of a saint of young Jolly Junk on that island to get her there and sort of encapsulate her there away from these like rotting divine waste pits.
Yeah.
Would that use those other two, like the mutilated angel and the hazardous rotting divine waste? Conceptually? That
could be interesting if you just given how much that's played a role in the story, like if you could incorporate that, like one of the plastic angel or saint, whatever we're calling them, the plastic deities, statues, sorry. That could be a kind of cool part of the ritual.
Ooh.
Yeah, do you have to like encase the sacrifice in this like kind of hollow plastic body and fill it with oil, drown them in it?
Oh,
Now
like
you
a
have to. Now you do.
recycled Wicker Man, yeah.
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 Oh, yes.
Wow. What a horrifying echo of the verse already. It's great. Yeah, cool. That explains. So you use the recruitment flyer, you get some of these zealous activists to either volunteer or let things run their course. They will find a suitable means to make a saint. All the materials are here. There's a new location, and hopefully that will lure. Sorry, making sure I get the question opportunity right. That will transform. So how does that transform young Jolly Junk? Do we think this is sort of like a precursor to like some bigger
Yeah.
process that she might do?
Yeah, I think it will kind of bind her more as, yeah, like I said, kind of almost like the guardian of the waters around the island, and perhaps rather than roaming the waters seeking seeking the waste, her followers will bring it to her, kind of thing. So it's more of a yeah.
Oh, I see. So the transformation is almost like she becomes situated there as like dwelling near the island, and she has
Yeah.
saints around her instead of being more this like
It's like
not like servant, but she's just like become this waste disposal instead of this. Her greater purpose is more this like
Yeah.
god that devours things.
yeah.
Oh yeah, there you go. The island becomes designated compost drop off.
Yeah.
Cool. And the factories just keep on pumping out what they're creating.
Yep.
Listen, it's
Mhm.
industry is very important, and Zeph isn't here to stop
Mhm.
it.
Mhm.
That's all you. If you guys want to stop it, that's your business.
Mhm. Sounds good. Who wants to roll this one? It would be a +2.
Who wants to roll?
Yeah, I'm happy to roll. Well, I say happy to. I mean, I will. We'll
Yeah.
see what happens. But
Do it.
Mhm.
that's a 7 with the +2. So it could be
Okay.
worse. Could be worse.
Yeah.
It could be
Not bad.
worse.
So it works. There's some sort of complication in here. Let's take a little break so I can think about it and think about how you all want to describe this. I think you're pretty much there, but we'll give it a couple minutes. Let's just take 5.
Cool.
All right. All right, so we're ready to resolve the young Jolly Junk. You got a 7 on the roll, so you do succeed, but there's a complication. I'll set it up a little bit and then kind of let you all take it from there. When you get back to shore, those holy activists of young Jolly Junk are kind of lined up and down the shore, but they're calm. They've calmed down a little bit. There's also like children. They're kind of doing like a beach trash pickup kind of event. You see even more people with like young Jolly Junk, the otter-headed god on their shirts and logos here and there. And when we introduced this assignment, there was already a little bit of a stir because of how much it was disrupting this channel. So the media is here as well as part of the complication. And the fact that you're custodians, people will kind of point you out. And specifically, I think perhaps as a former follower of the saint, there's a little bit of extra attention on Zeph. Like there's like a reporter. It's like, oh, and we're live. Come here, come here. And they're kind of pointing cameras at you and like, so what can you tell us about this? I hear there's a great grand solution, innovation that we've come to expect from our special agents in the field that are going to clear up this whole mess. Tell us all about it. And so whatever you do, it's sort of a public spectacle now is the complication.
Oh my God. Zeph sort of freezes like a deer in headlights on the camera for a second. Yeah, as Elle put in the chat, he loves being on camera. It's his favorite. He looks to Bastion as if Bastion can save him for a second, even though he knows this is not possible. And looks back at the reporter and just, well, we absolutely have a solution. I don't think it's necessary to discuss right now all of the detail, the boring details, but I assure you we are on it and all of this will soon be cleared up and everyone will be able to go back to their lives and all of these lovely beach people will be able to do their beach things safely.
Let's do a veiled move here.
Yeah.
The spotlight is unwittingly on Zeph. I think this would just be a veiled move with presence.
All right.
What are you afraid might not go so well if this goes poorly?
I'm afraid that I'm gonna piss off all the young jolly junk people and they won't want to listen to us and our solution.
Yeah, they can make it complicated. That's fair.
Yeah. All right.
Yeah.
We got a 0 in presence, boys. 8. Got me
Okay.
an 8.
Not bad. Yeah, I think the reporter's like, oh, interesting, great. Well, you got it here, folks. Agents of the Bureau are here, ready to show us. We'll just stay. We'll keep the cameras rolling. We'll keep you updated on this live event as it unfolds. So the complications, they don't leave. Like, oh, cool. Yeah, take your time. We can't wait to. And the other followers are there. There's this woman, Pearl Lesh, walks up, sort of all got hiking boots, gardening gloves, and kind of leading a bigger group of children. Like, now, folks, we're all doing our part. Now, let's just watch what the grown-ups do. There's a big mess out there, and they're gonna take care of it, right? And they're like, okay. So come back to you there. I want to see what Merriweather's up to a little bit, and then maybe we'll come back and see this conclusion, this ritual. So Merriweather, when we last saw you, you were invited in to dinner. Just scrolling back to that assignment real quick. You were saying you might kind of try to sneak around a little bit, or like, what are you feeling for your next approach? You just want to kind of see where dinner goes?
Yeah, I think before I sneak around, I'll hang around at dinner a little bit. We established that they're eating like roadkill, like that kind of vibe, right?
Yeah, there's not really cooking involved. There's kind of like, kitchen counter cleavers, just kind of hacked up meat. If you weren't really, we've kind of hinted at how they have been very isolated and sheltered and less, civilized. Just kind of living off however they're surviving out here. But yeah, they will kind of offer you it's like a chipped plate, like, oh no, let's use the plates, says sister Skelton. They all go just by sister, brother, baby. I think she shouts at some point, like, cousin, we have a guest. Come on, make yourself presentable. Let's get the plates out. And you hear a crash, like, oh well, sure, we have plenty left. And just sit down. And anyway, she starts putting looks like a chunk of some kind of livestock, hopefully. Just kind of rare meat on a platter.
Yeah, that hopefully is doing a lot of work there.
Yeah.
Yeah, in that case, I think Merriweather sort of smiles politely, and when the food is served, she starts like pretending to eat, like in this like very exaggeratedly fake way. Like the meat is on the fork, but she's clearly not putting it in her mouth. like in sort of this like weird like postmodern like almost Brechtian way where her movements are like calling attention to themselves as a performance. Um, and as she's doing this, she's like sort of studying the way the skeletons interact with each other, the way they hold themselves, the way they move. She's sort of mimicking Sister's big, wide eyes and like the family's sort of almost animalistic movements. And I think as she quote unquote enjoys her meal, she says, "Yeah, I'm sorry I've been away for so long. I know I should have come back and seen Mother sooner. I I thought she would bring us dinner. Um, she's not angry with me, is she?" And she like kind of widens her eyes in this like very performative manner.
Oh, nice. I mean, as a reminder from last session, Merriweather, um, you did your move to basically give a performance and alter reality. You give a monologue declaring how the skeletons, welcomed you back home, and so that is now at least partially true. I think Sister was there waiting for you, and um, so yeah, I think you could just make an information move here. Otherwise, it would probably be a different kind of roll. But based on what you've already set up, I think see what they tell you. Probably with presence, the way you're describing it.
Oh, sure.
Yeah.
Presents. Do I have anything that could help me? No, that's fine. Hey, I think my presence is 1, so that's a 10. Yes.
Oh, nice. Yeah. She's, oh no, no, no. She how could anyone be mad at you, dear? I mean, you're so good of you to stop by and see us again. Of course, baby misses you. Cousin misses you too, don't you, cousin? And you see just hunched in the doorway, the other skeleton who is like when kids just like are in a big pile of blankets and sheets and stuff. Again, you don't really even see many features. You just see like the hands are all covered up in like layers of this blanket. The eyes are piercing though, and just kind of says like, I don't know why you came here. You should probably leave now, cousin. We don't treat visitors that way. Now take your place. And she gestures, well, not that one. She points to another chair, and you realize in the gloom you hadn't caught this before. But at one of the chairs, there is another figure sitting there. It's a taxidermied animal dressed in human clothes. I'm going to pitch that to B, though. What kind of animal is it?
It's a possum in a little
Great.
suit.
Yeah.
And he's set up right. This little.
Yeah.
It's very proper.
Oh, yeah. So now, can't you be more like your cousin over here? Look at how well he's behaving. And they carry on. So that's your clue. I'll paste that in there.
Amazing. Yeah, I think if cousin still seems like he's not fully on board the Merriweather train, her eyes sort of follow him as he takes his seat, and she says, "Yeah, cousin, don't you remember? It's me, niece, all grown up."
Yeah, I guess so. You were here before. And I think I'm just gonna put this out there. I think cousin just says, you liked going in the woods. I found a lot of new trails that you haven't seen. I know so much more about the woods now, you don't even know. It's a whole fort out there. I'm gonna go back there probably once I'm done with eating here. But maybe I'll think about it. Maybe mother will let me show you if you're good. And kind of trying to like find some, the way kids are trying to find some control in the situation.
I would
Or
really
if you're
like that.
nice, yeah. Let's cut back to the others. You've described how all these pieces of the ritual come together. You rolled a partial success. I just gave you the complication, but I guess if everyone wants to kind of describe under the media's eyes here, what this resolution looks like.
Well, I don't know about Bastion, but under the media's eyes, Zeph is a lot more careful with how he pitches this to the followers of Young Jolly Junk. They're taking a person who is less than willing isn't really on the table anymore. So he actually has him and Bastion actually have to like bring this to them and say, here we see what you're doing, great work, fabulous work. And I'm sure like we probably have to show some evidence that like we like know what we're talking about with that book, and actually give the whole plan about like this designated spot. It's gonna be great. I swear.
Yeah, and I think Bastion will sort of make a point of sort of saying that, you know, we obviously we appreciate all the good work that that Young Jolly Junk has been getting up to here, and the last thing we want is to interfere in her divine plan. But we obviously also need to find a compromise that will allow, you know, everyone to make the best of the situation and work together for the you know, the betterment of the community as a whole, sort of thing.
And I think Zeph definitely adds on to that. And really, this is for her sake. Really, she's clearly having a hard time with all of these. And he looks at the cameras with all of this. It's a lot to handle for one god with no infrastructure. You know, she needs, and this is we're building an infrastructure for her.
You're like, the Saints people are on it. You hear like a reporter like eavesdropping and saying that Saints folks are going to be building perhaps a new dam is in order. Can't wait to see what develops here. Reporting live to you.
Stuff just like, oh, Saints.
Yeah, I think we've also described how there are these very zealous followers who I think will kind of also swoop in to the spotlight and start talking about how it is that thing where they're, you know, it's a live broadcast and they start talking about cleaning up the river and like, oh, good. And then they start talking about something needs to be done about the refinery up there. And they're like, oh, and we're, yep, time for a break. And they start to pan away. But I think, I'm still a little bit new to like this part of these scenarios for like how you resolve it without a roll. But I think the complication is just this, that I'm going to go with that as a condition. I think just under the spotlight, I think, and you're able to kind of like back away as the other followers step in and maybe take your lead and do some kind of ritual. But you know, that time on television as custodians might follow you a little bit. Plenty of people will maybe recognize you, something like that down the road.
A shame Merriweather wasn't here. She would have handled
Oh,
this
she
fabulously.
know what to do. Good stuff. So yeah, and maybe if you come back this way in the future, things will look a little bit different, but you've given them all the information they need, and you know, they wanted to do something about what was happening at this factory to begin with, so this is maybe setting them up to do something further in the future. But that's resolved, I think. Where I guess you only have one other assignment to go to at this point. You have two others. What do you think, Bastion and Zeph? I'm gonna check on Merriweather, or look into the Bowered companion.
I feel like from a play perspective, it would probably be good for us to at least for one of us to go to back up Merriweather so that we can kind of mix up who we're hanging around with a bit.
Yeah.
I also agree.
I must admit, I'm personally quite tempted to start looking into the the Bowed Companion, because it does sound kind of like Bastion's jam, that one.
Oh,
It
yeah,
does.
yeah,
It does.
very
You know,
much.
missing a dead people. I think Zeph would definitely volunteer to go back up Merriweather. He's a little concerned about like everybody having split off, especially after like the way this went. It wasn't bad, but
Mhm.
like it wasn't his favorite way things went.
Mhm.
So I think he definitely wants to go see if Merriweather and even maybe the good doctor are, you know, we did say we'd all meet back up, so at the very least he'll
Yeah,
be like, well, they might need at least the van, you know,
yeah.
but also willing to, I don't know how Bastion you want to get to Ulm.
Yeah, I'm wondering actually maybe at some point Bastion is maybe going to kind of hitch a ride or something out to Ulm.
That's
You
cool.
know, probably maybe journeys back part of the way with you, and then
We I
splits off
drop you
sort of thing.
off.
Yeah.
I got an idea for that too. There's a trucker side character in that one, so maybe you can hitchhike. That could work.
Yeah, cool.
And I like Elle's suggestion in the chat that maybe you could meet up in the woods. That could be an interesting way to
Yeah,
get in there.
that would be fun. I'm
Yeah,
into that.
that's fun. Um, yeah, let's do the journey scene together at first, maybe for Zeph and Bastion. Just checking on this new keeper. Okay. So I think along the way, you saw a shrine last time. I think you see. So this journey scene we'll do is the wire-bitten child. Oh, sorry, it's pasted in here a little weird. That's why. Give me a second. Pull up that document. But I can basically wing it in the meantime. Along the road in the van, you see sort of like a construction crew. And they're setting up. There's like it's like a truck with the large like telephone poles basically, and they're on the side of the road. Cargo trucks. You see the prayer stamps of both the Maiden of the Caged Sun, which is another name for the Saint Electric, and a more recent descendant of hers, the Wire-Bitten Child, which is sort of fiber optic cable. And as you all know, these sort of new endeavors, the expanding this network out of Glottage, out of the bigger cities, requires regional sacrifices. So you see alongside coils of cable and stacks of these freshly painted telephone poles, there are workers in dark goggles and spark-resistant jumpsuits. They're getting ready to sort of go down the road and continue setting up poles. The first pole has been erected already, and the first few cables are being connected. They're kind of swinging loosely. And you see a single representative of the wire-bitten child with even more cables attached to their own flesh, who is being raised up to the top of the pole. So I'm going to put your paint the scene and your recall a time prompts here. And we'll come back to you. Okay. Oop, I don't know why I pasted that image too. Yeah. So the question is, how do you know that they were brought here as an unwilling sacrifice? And then if you want to, with your own role play, when did you first witness the sacrifice? So Merriweather, how's this dinner going? Probably only fake eating raw chunks of mystery animal for so long. Although baby's probably helping you out if you choose to. It's kind of like when you can like drop the food to the dog. If baby's nearby, you can probably kind of slip some their way.
Oh yeah, absolutely. That's what I'm doing. um, yeah, I think dinner passes without much fanfare. I think Merriweather does her best to just sort of blend in. But she eats in quotation marks quite quickly. And when she's done, she'll like let her fork and knife kind of clatter onto the plate and turn to cousin. You ready for that walk?
Yeah, I think I'll show you. There's a new made a pretty great sculpture. I think might keep the outsiders away. As you walk out into the yard, you see that cousin has managed to kind of pile together some bent and broken farming equipment and climb to the top and perch, a broken deer skull, kind of throw some old tarps and stuff around it. So from a distance, it looks kind of like your typical antler-headed monster from leaning from the undergrowth. Goes like, gonna make more. I just need more bones. But offers to lead you, on one of his walks. Says, "You're not scared of the woods, right?"
Is there anything to be scared of in the woods?
Oh, I mean, all kinds of things, definitely. But mother keeps an eye out for us. We should be okay as long as we stay under the trees. We stay in the shadows, we'll be okay.
She nods, and I will keep an eye out for any spare bones.
Good. Let's describe as you get into the clutching woods here. Again, the woods are sort of just like leaning in. Kind of the edge of their property is very overgrown. They haven't been maintaining anything. And as you go kind of off their property, you walk into narrowing tunnels of these sickly briars and fallen branches. The ground gets a little soft in places, so there's these sort of buckling footbridges that are sometimes dragged down by strangling roots, and it becomes this sort of oil slick bog. And here and there's sort of skewers of these like dead trees poking up, like much like bleached bones. Paint the scene for everybody. The land here is horribly polluted, but not truly dead. What menacing features make you most concerned for your safety? I guess if you were here.
I think that Merriweather just like narrowly avoids triggering like a pit trap that like a hunter has set out, kind of
Nice.
proving that the land must not be completely dead if there are animals to be hunted and found here.
And in fact, there is just quiet rustling in the underbrush. Maybe it's not big, it might be squirrel sized, but it does sound like it's following you.
And I think there's kind of thick weeds, almost like algae, that are thriving in the sort of polluted environment here. They're providing these sort of big, sort of thick green carpets, but it's very uncertain as to how much of what's underneath is land and how much is water or liquid anyway.
Nice. I think cousin sort of says like, I don't entirely remember when you were here, but you look familiar. You probably don't know about my forts. Did we build a fort when you were here? It's kind of like almost like the further away from the house, cousin's kind of little less certain about this this memory.
I don't remember clearly either. It was a long time ago. I don't blame you for not remembering. I would love to see the fort. And like as she's speaking, her eyes are sort of she keeps like getting distracted by this rustling that
Yeah.
seems to be following.
Yeah. And I mean, we didn't really establish time of day, but it's definitely getting dark, so it is questionable how far you're gonna get out here. At some point, I think cousin will point out it looks like a sunken, a very old, like small a cabin, or even just like storage shed or something goes out here that's like half sunken into this bog. But you can see how he's kind of like started like dragging other branches and old boards and stuff on top to kind of like the way kids will make little forts without a lot of real material. So he's trying to make some structure on the roof of this thing, but kind of starts to show you around and climb up on the top of it. It's like, this is my lookout, but once I get a little bit higher, it'll be better. Maybe I can make some steps. Do you know how to build ladders? I need more tools. And this kind of starts to go off and do his thing and like poke around and pick up pieces and start working on this fort.
I think Merriweather will help him gather things for the fort. She doesn't really know what she's looking for, but he doesn't seem all that picky either.
Yeah.
But while she's looking around, she'll be keeping an eye out for anything that looks like it might be motherly.
Yeah, let's do an information move. I think insight would make sense.
Yeah, sure. That's 9.
Okay. We'll come back to clue the complication there. So on the road, Zeph and Bastion, I'll open it up to you. You got your prompts. Feel free to answer at least the paint the scene question, and then touch on recall at time if you want.
Go ahead. Do you have something, David?
Yeah, sure. Yeah. Oh, I can go. So yeah, I think we see this this person who is being raised up in sacrifice. They have a radio sort of strung over their neck, hanging down on their chest, sort of thing. And you can tell that the person is clearly like screaming and yelling as they're being pulled up. But every time they raise their voice, the radio gets louder and louder, covering up the sound of the screams, and it's just playing like it's a hymn to the Saint Electric, but it's like it sounds like like Muzak. It's that kind of easy listening, synthesized sound that's just drowning out the screams.
Oh my god, I love that. And I think the screams are being completely drowned out, but we can still see this person's face, and the tears that streak down their face are mixed. They're shimmering like an oil slick. They're not entirely natural anymore.
You see this while you're driving by. Oh, sorry, go ahead.
Oh no, please go ahead. I was gonna say I don't have anything.
Oh,
Those are so amazing that I'm just
Yeah.
like, okay, that's it.
And I think as we see this while we're driving by, regardless of whether Zeph is driving or Bastion is, Zeph hears the music through the windows, and he rolls them down. He at least rolls his side down on purpose, and just lovely work. It's so nice to see them this far out, you know? And he's genuinely sincere about this. Like, he's not
Oh.
fucking around.
Well, I suppose they say you can't outrun progress.
No, you can't. It really is. You know, I know this is sort of a new thing, the wire-bitten child. I don't know. Have you heard of them yet? Have you seen their work?
A little, I think, but not. I think I'll kind of gesture up at the sort of the construction kind of thing. Mostly this so far. I don't get into the city often.
Oh, it's fabulous. It's rudimentary still, of course, but very it reminds me of it reminds me of when I was young and saw the sacrifices to the Saint Electric, you know? It's that I know she's very old, but it's this there's a fervor to it, you know? There's actual passion behind it. It's not this routine, you know, going through the motions type thing that you sometimes see with you know, the Petropater or the Grinding Lord or the Chitterling. I don't know. I'm not going. No shade to the Chitterling, but I just feel it's a bit, you know, banal. And you can see that these folks really care about it. And I don't know. At least where I lived, they really cared about the Saint Electric.
Yeah, I can understand that. I suppose I remember when I was little. Every every year at the at the at the spring equinox at the local festival, we'd have someone would be chosen from the village, and they'd get dressed up in well, it was like reeds and bulrushes and the like. They'd go around to every house and get, you know, a drink or something to eat. They'd be singing, and you know, they'd be with a group of people and they'd be singing, and we'd all, as children, we'd all paint on stones, you know, like smooth pebbles. We'd paint just scenes of the village, of the you know, flowers, the animals, nature things, you know, on these little pebbles, and we'd all give the man one of these little painted pebbles, put them in one of these pockets on his suit. By the time we come around the village, he had to be helped around by the others. There's so many in there, and then they'd walk him out into the fen.
How quaint. Oh, that's lovely. Oh, I really do wish we'd had more of a group participation. It was always this, I mean, my father worked for one of the electric companies, so I got to see some of the sacrifices to the Saint Electric in private, and they were fabulous, electrifying things. It was bright and dramatic and loud occasionally. Electricity is very loud, but that little there was less ritual to it than that. That sounds lovely. I do wish they would. I mean, of course, there was always the holidays for the Saint Electric, but not everyone. That was always just a home thing. This sounds like a whole night. How nice.
Yes, it was. It was always. It was always a fun time of year.
So with the journey move here, you each can clear a condition, and you also get to stumble on a clue, and you tell me what that is. So, what conditions do you all want to clear? First of all,
I only have one, luckily, currently. So,
Hmm.
boop.
Yeah, I think I'm likewise going to. Excuse me, and I've only just picked up, but I think I'm also going to clear under the spotlight because I think
Yeah.
as we're kind of going a bit more
Yeah,
off the beaten track,
It's
we'll
dangerous.
quickly be forgotten.
yeah, makes sense. Yeah, much more interesting things happening by the water by now. Think about the clue. I'm gonna cut back to Merriweather. Um, so as you're looking around Merriweather, and cousin here is I think starting to scale a tree that's like, dead tree. Easy, pretty easy to get up a little bit. To like, I guess, break down another like branch to like add to his like nest like fort he's making. You kind of glance up a little higher in one of these taller trees, and you see that there is an effigy that's been fastened up there, multi-winged, made of twigs and feathers, as if watching down from above. And it's almost like human sized, and it doesn't look particularly new. There's like hanging moss on it, like it's been there for a little while. That's your clue. The complication, I think, is that rustling, those sounds we heard, has been quiet for a minute, but then you hear, instead of rustling, churning and sounds in the bog, um, kind of a sound of one of those little foot bridges being sucked into the water, and something stirring uh, inside of this cabin that you all are kind of walking around the roof of. So that's a complication.
Merriweather freezes up like a startled animal and like looks over at cousin.
Oh, yeah, that happens sometimes. Better to here, and let me help you up and start. He's starting to scramble up higher into the branches. Yeah, you don't want to be on the ground when that's happening, unless you got
Yeah.
something to feed it. You didn't take any leftovers with you, did you?
No, it was so delicious I couldn't possibly have. Uh, are you sure you shouldn't go down there and make sure it's satiated?
Oh, I don't. No, no, no. We stick close to our mother. Will watch over us, and it's not in those sinking places. That's why I'm building this higher. If I get up higher, she'll be able to keep an eye on me. Um, maybe if we and you see it's like that kid who still wants to be competent, so he's kind of trying like, well, maybe if we tell it to go away, maybe we can it's like looking around, maybe we can throw it something, and it will leave us alone. How, how does that work? Do it starts to kind of look to you like for ideas, but otherwise was probably just planning to like crawl up and wait till it goes away. But it's starting to like, you hear other pieces of this cabin, kind of rotting wood crumble. It's kind of shifting, almost like this whole structure is in danger of sinking into the ground, into the bog.
Merriweather's eyes widen again, this time with like panic, and she'll turn back to cousin. She's like, "Oh no, fuck that, let's go." She'll like climb up with him.
Yeah, nice. Let's do a veiled move here for now. Um, just to get out of danger.
Yeah,
What are you
for sure.
afraid might go wrong here?
That in the climbing, I'll slip and fall into the clutches of this oil god thing.
Yeah, whatever's
Whatever it
in the
is.
bog. Yeah. Um, sounds good. I think this would be with vitality.
Cool. Okay, not bad. It's an 8.
All right, yeah. You yeah, you're able to climb. Um, this tree has got like another tree leaning against it. So following cousin who seems quite limber, who seems to have been spending a lot of time just kind of like free roaming in these horrible woods, kind of shows you like, well, don't step on that branch. That one almost broke. You're a little taller than me, so starts to kind of guide you step by step a little bit. Um, I think the complication here is you're starting to notice these are dead trees and dead limbs, and as you're kind of like kind of clutching on, stepping, hopefully, not breaking any dead branches to fall below, you realize that these trees are fungal infested. They are piece breaks off, and it is full of some strange. Um, it almost looks like muscle tissue on the inside of this bark instead of rotting wood. It looks just like long strands of kind of grayish purple flesh, and it kind of twitches, and you it twitches at the same time as like the cabin that you were climbing off of kind of lurches, and I think you realize that this is an extension of whatever that was. Um, it is some long fungal strand going deep into the bog, and maybe it's reminding you of last session when Cletus Ford was telling you about the fungal network, the forest that's underneath the forest, and the conspiracy clue that you found, about how there was once a god in this area, or maybe in this broader region, called the Devourer below. So we'll come back to you there. You're out of safety for the meantime, but you're realizing that this thing is not just in one spot. This is extending beneath all this forest. Yeah. So Zeph and Bastion, any idea what clue you find?
Did you have an idea, Bastion, for anything?
Um,
And this could be for Dusk Mother or the Bowered Companion.
Yes.
Yeah.
I think I'm going to go for the Bowered Companion.
Head start.
And I think I'm going to yeah, I think maybe the Bastion finds his once they've parted ways, and as he's kind of just walking down the side of the road, thumb out, trying to hitch a ride, in sort of the ditch at the side of the road, he finds um a backpack. It's obviously been there a little while. It's muddy and the like, but not yet started to properly deteriorate. He sort of picks it up and has a quite like look through it, and it has sort of um, you know travel supplies inside it, sort of thing. But I think I'll call it a runaway's discarded backpack.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
That's cool. Bastion, as you go a little bit further, again, we're hand waving geography all the time, because even if it did have a set pattern, some god may have changed it, or some worshippers, so it doesn't really matter. Makes it easy for us. this region that you're in it's there's sort of looming pines here and there. There's electricity pylons. This trade road. There's cracked dirt, red dirt bleeding through tire tracks and gravel. There's shapes and lights drifting through a bit of a fog you're sensing already, almost beckoning you to follow it. And you know that you're getting close to where these events have happened because you see some lights in the distance of looks like fog lights of a truck that's at a weird angle. It's kind of in this ditch. You normally expect it to be head on, but it's kind of at a diagonal. And this is a broad paint the scene. What detail do you notice that hints at things being even more dangerous than they appear at first glance? Besides an overturned truck. Paste that for you. Actually, we can come back to you on that one because I haven't given you a lot of landscape, so kind of like fill that in as you want to. But Zeph, I think continuing on. I assume you're continuing on with the van.
Absolutely. I'm going to the heading towards Merriweather's neck of the woods now.
I think from we'll just say the angle that you're approaching, there's a very old sign. Actually, hold on the way real quick. There's like proper road signs, but there's also just like old junk and like abandoned houses. At what point you see a handmade shattered porcupine flag. So it's kind of, you know, like the in the US, the serpent that's cut into pieces for like the territories. It's like that, but there's like the head, then there's the limbs, then there's the tail of a porcupine, all the spines going out like arrows. There's a cartoonish looking garden gnome at some point that's holding a sign that just says adjudicate this. And
oh my god. Zeph is just like, oh geez.
Get into the backwoods a little bit.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like, I hate it. He's a city boy. He doesn't do this.
No. Eventually you see a very kind of barely hanging sign that you think is pointing one direction that says weft, you know, population, and then numbers are deteriorated. You take that road and it's like an even more, it's a winding dirt road. It's very sketchy. You're hoping that it's fully intact, especially with this van. And you're starting to see kind of off the road, similar to what Merriweather is seeing, patches of bog, dead trees sticking up. What little bit of light there is glinting on the slick bog, oil slick bog. And I think eventually you'll see, if you follow this path, you'll come to the town of Weft, but on the way, I think you come to the edge of the road becomes a little bit more gravel. You see you have to like squeeze by a number of like abandoned pickup trucks. And at one point it looks like some old like log harvesting, like log stripping machinery. And you realize that you're coming to the edge of an abandoned lumber mill. There's a massive log pile. First you think it's a cabin, but you realize it's just like a chaotic pile of lumber that's rotting, mostly sprouting with these sort of triumphant fungal blooms that are just like they've overtaken this location again. You're smelling mildew and sawdust and gasoline. And at some point, whether you park or you're just kind of slowing to take in the scenery, you realize that these trees are getting really weird. I'm gonna send you a paint the scene here as well for Zeph. How have the trees in this region grown strange, and what makes their lumber particularly unsafe for any practical use? So think about that, and let's see how Merriweather's doing here. Climbing one of those trees, maybe. I think just to like make sure I'm spelling out that complication better, I think it's that like you can't go down from here. You're like gonna have to climb to find some other way out of this situation.
Mm. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, what do you do?
Oh, what a question. I am high up. I know it's dark, but is Zeph close enough that I could see them?
Oh,
Or at
sure.
least
Yeah, we
see
could say.
someone like moving around in the
Yeah, you
darkness?
see some van lights on like maybe a road through the trees somewhere. That's good.
Oh, that's fun. I love that.
Um, yeah, I think maybe she doesn't know it's Zeph yet, but like it's someone, right? And so
Mm-hmm.
she's like, um, hi, is anyone down there?
Cousin's like,
Hello?
shh, outsiders. Don't want them to know. Mother won't like more outsiders. And starts looking very suspicious and almost like kind of trying to climb away further into the trees. Like, quick, it's not safe. Don't let them see us. Climb up higher.
No, cousin, just hold on a second. Maybe it's someone who can help.
Oh my goodness. If I am close enough, I feel like at this lumber mill, Zeph has stopped because like, well, machinery might be it might be a nice place to scrap along the way. There's no
Yeah.
rules against that. And uh have like parked the van is slowed and parked, and I've left the lights on to sort of, because it's getting weirdly dark, it feels like too
Mm-hmm.
fast. I don't know,
Mm-hmm.
but I do think I maybe catch, if it is if you do allow it, Gabriel, that I catch Merriweather's like shout, like a hint of it on the wind maybe.
Yeah, that's fun.
And like an idiot, Zeph just yells, "Hello?"
Um, I'm curious about that description of what Zeph sees, maybe just before you hear this. Yeah, what's up with these
Yes.
trees from your point of view?
I think as I get out of the car and like see these trees a little closer, it looks like less like bark and more like uh a flinsed like flesh, like if you took the flesh off of your body, but it was just the musculature and the membranous fat that connects flesh to muscle. Like it's got this
Mhm.
weird shimmer and it almost a pulsating, like just on parts of it, just a little bit. And it feels like maybe it's a little too wet for practical use, even if you didn't care what it was
Mhm.
made of, and if you didn't care whether it was maybe some sort of fungal creature or alive. It doesn't seem like hard enough to make a house or a boat, you
Mhm.
know. Ugh.
Mhm. Yeah. Is it really just a tree anymore?
Is it? We don't know.
Mm.
Yeah, I think the trees that haven't died yet are like actively bleeding. Like maybe at first it looks like sap, but it
Oof.
smells
Yeah,
like blood, right?
Nice.
amazing.
Oh, that's so gross.
I'm gonna just build off of what y'all are doing here because you're both shouting across these horrifying woods, and I think Zeph, as you hear what you think is Merriweather, you shout back. Um, and you were just thinking about how dark it is, and you're like, oh, that's weird because the moon's out, and then you're like, there's two moons. That doesn't make sense, and they blink at you, and you hear this not just rustling, you hear almost, instead of a cracking branch, almost like a cracking tree, but based on what you've described to sort of a more of a tearing, wet ripping. It's like some branches kind of fall, and you get the glimpse of almost like large, almost like scythes, kind of like this equipment we've seen gripping the tops of trees, and the light shifts, the big sweep of gust of wind, and you realize that shadow was just wings covering where you're standing. And we'll come back to Zeph to see what happens there. Meanwhile, Bastion, things aren't quite so dramatic yet. But something about the scene with the fog, this sort of awkwardly turned truck in a ditch here. What else do you
Yeah.
see that hints at something a little more dangerous?
I think it's actually the fog itself. And again, Bastion's fairly used to the mist and the fog, but as he sort of moves closer to the truck, that kind of effect that the fog has, where it kind of distorts the sound and stuff around, seems to be even more um, noticeable than normal. The fog sort of moves around in a sort of unnatural way, almost as if it is kind of trying to sort of follow him. And there's that it's chilling and cold, and there's maybe just a hint of some sort of unpleasant scent to it as well. It's yeah.
Yeah. I think you're probably used to these journeys, these lonely paths. You almost feel like there's an invisible hand on your shoulder, almost the sensation of being gently sort of guided further into this fog. And you can you can look at this truck in more detail. You can kind of take a different route. You're kind of on the edge of the Whisper Plains as well here, which is kind of along the way. You've seen gaps of forest and field, these electric pylons and polluted canals, in and out of the fog. But yeah, where would you like to go from here?
Yeah, I think Bastion is going to head to investigate the truck in more detail and see what's happened, see if anyone's died here.
Yeah. Let's make an investigation information move here.
Sure thing.
Probably insight.
Yeah, that sounds good.
Yeah.
I think that's a 1. Yep. Yeah, no, I think I'll just roll that. And that is a 7.
Okay. Nice. Let's come back to the 7 for the complication. I think the clue though, as you're approaching and you don't know if this is a person, if it's a radio, it's muffled because of the fog. But you hear soft singing drifting from the fog. You don't recognize the song in particular, but it is beautiful. It's almost like if you could hear it a little better, you'd be very curious like what the words are, if there are words. I will come back to that though. That's your first clue. And okay, Zeph is going to have to do a move here in a second. Merriweather, you've heard, yeah, you're pretty sure Zeph's voice. You hear these crunching sounds of more, branches, trees breaking, churning. It's almost like it almost sounds connected. Excuse me. The tree branches that you're in, and like seeing that there's like the fungal flesh, and it kind of like flexes and cracks, and you hear sounds echoed further across the woods here. Cousin, I think, is about ready to bail on you here, almost climbing up further out of reach because you're making noise and you're talking to outsiders. What do you do when you recognize Zeph's voice?
Can I see this looming presence over Zeph?
I think from here, let's just say that you see when you saw the lights of the van, they kind of like are swallowed up You don't see the lights anymore.
Yeah. Ooh. I think she'll ask cousin, cousin, do you sense Mother near?
Oh, nice. Yeah, let's do an information move here. Let's do this one with communion, actually.
Okay. I had a feeling that one would go poorly. Oh, that's a 6.
No, okay. We'll come back to the 6, and it may or may not tie into Zeph's moment here. We'll leave that hanging. So Zeph, this will be the revelation move, as you are clearly face to face with something here, something very large. So what are you afraid will happen here if you lose your nerve, or things go poorly for you?
That I will not be fast enough, and whatever this entity is will definitely consume me. And this is not the entity that I want to be consumed by.
Sure. Well, I have to tell you how it's worse than that. So if it's worse than being consumed by this thing, it's that you will be torn apart and left for the skeletons at the edge of the woods. Because Mother always provides for her children.
Delicious dinner. Guess we know who the last dinner was, Merriweather. All right.
We didn't say, yeah.
We didn't say. So I roll with, is this with communion or with anything? It's all
yeah, I think with communion, yeah.
Not like it matters.
And just a reminder, there are verses of the different assignments that can be used.
Well, I will need one because it is also a 6.
Oh no.
But let's see what happens.
Yeah, with the 6, its eyes blink at you. The darkness swirls around you like this feathery cloak, and you feel yourself surprisingly gently wrapped, almost like, again, giant scythes, giant like tractor claws or large hands are kind of scooping you, and you feel the ground give way. You feel yourself just lifted. You don't feel, but you hear the cracking, the wet tearing and breaking of more branches all around you. And for a moment, it's very peaceful as you were laid upon some kind of like pile of like old garments and feathers, and you see the starry sky up above you, a break in the forest tree. But then those eyes look upon you again, this outsider, and another welcome surprise, another welcome meal, as those large talons strike down and separate your limbs into more easily digestible pieces.
Definitely going to mark a verse.
Yeah.
Because I don't want to be the food Mother cuts up for her children.
Yeah, are you using one of your verses, or do you want to use one of the assignment verses?
I'll use one of my verses. I haven't done one of those yet. This is
okay.
Good opportunity.
Yeah. Yeah, we haven't seen any from you, maybe, or maybe not. I'm not sure. Yeah. Let's do a quick break here because we have like a complication, a verse, a couple things going on. So let's take our 5-minute here and come right back. All right. Okay, so we had a miss from Zeph, who's going to mark a verse. We have a complication for Bastion with the clue, and then also Merriweather rolled a miss, which we didn't really narrate, I don't think. I think for Merriweather, again, a reminder, I think there's another verse as well for yeah, there's a verse for the Bowered Companion and for the Dusk Mother if you want to use those. But as you were trying to kind of climb, you're trying to climb to safety, right? Remind me where we were at. Oh, you're in the collapsing tree, basically.
Yeah, I think
You were
my
asking if
understanding.
Mother.
Yeah. I was
That's right.
asking
That's
cousin
right.
about whether he felt mother close. And I know that I can't just like climb down because,
Right.
yeah.
Oh, okay, yeah. Then I think the complication is the miss anyway is cousin is like mother's only close to those that she's chosen, and I guess she doesn't remember you well enough. And you look up and see cousin just scrambling up this tree, um, kind of gets lost in the foliage as the tree that you're on fully not just crumbles but kind of twitches and writhes, and the almost like boa constrictors, the like fleshy mycelial arms within the bark fully burst through and just grab a hold of Merriweather's legs and drag her into the mire here, um, as writhes beneath the loam where the devourer below, this god of decay and regeneration, has been waiting for a more substantial meal as well. The forest is getting fed tonight, it seems.
Am
Yeah,
I
cousin. Yeah.
an immediate goner? Because if
No, not immediately, but it is
mm,
collapsing and starting to like wrap itself around you. Yeah.
then I think Merriweather instinctively, like almost as though like some little part of her really believes that she is a skeleton and is under like mother's protection. She just
Hmm.
instinctually screams bloody murder, calling out for her mother.
Oh, nice. I'm interested to see where that goes. If you want to, always you mark verse, but I think we can see what happens with Zeph first. If you want to sit on that,
Totally.
cool. Yeah, that's fun. Um, okay, let's see. Let me go over to Bastion first, though, because a complication. You heard this singing, and the complication is that as you're getting closer to the truck, again, the fog is getting more and more intense, and kind of faintly squint, you see a figure. You see like the trucker hat at first, um, which gosh, I lost the name of it. Something freight. Sorry. I'm not going to quiz B on the spot. Fading's ferry and freight. Um, but then as this figure kind of comes around through the fog, it's too tall to be this truck driver. You see the hat is kind of perched on a shambling collection of old branches and vines and ribbons, almost like a roadside shrine someone had made once that had sort of sprouted more roots and stood up and imitated a form of a person. This is an angel of the Bowered Companion that has been drawn to this place where another wanderer has probably gotten lost and is now drawn to you and is starting to lurch towards you through the fog. What do you do, Bastion?
I think Bastion's going to call out into the fog. Hello, I think I'm here looking for you. I'm glad I found you. Um, yeah, and is going to kind of wave in the direction of this sort of shambling mound.
Oh, that's really cool. Yeah. Let's come back to that. I think that's a great moment to have another move there. Love that. Okay, Zeph, you're marking a verse.
Yes.
Do you want to
Yes.
save narrating that, or do you want to jump into that now?
I think we can save it. I
Okay.
don't think it works for this. If I
Okay.
can tie it into narration, I will.
Sure. So instead it's a mixed result. So I think instead of snatching you up, there's the same cracking of branches that we described. There's the shadow kind of swirling around you. Instead, it's a sensation of the shadow ushering you closer, trying to cloak you and shelter you from the world outside. And there's another crackle from above and a loud, wet thud as it looks like half of some livestock carcass is dropped on the ground in front of you. I'm just going to check our safety bits. Obviously, we have a lot of nice
Yes.
body horror interest. Yeah, I'll keep this veiled for now. But just for fun, Zeph would maybe have seen ads for the chitterling. I don't know what kind of animal that is, but if we see a part of a chitterling livestock specimen, how do you know that it's connected to the chitterling somehow? How has it been uniquely blessed, let's say?
You know those little tags that they put on livestock's ears that are like cute little earrings, but they have like usually the name of a ranch or a number. I think that there is an ear, maybe not
Mhm.
where it should be, but there
Mm.
is an ear that has one of those little tags on it that is actually just also flesh, but it is shaped like a tag and it has the chitterling's prayer mark on it.
Oh, cool. Yeah. And there's this sort of very hollow, very loud echoing. Sorry, I'm contradicting myself. Is it echoing? It's muffled. We're in the forest. This very deep, muffled, almost like hooting sound as those moon eyes blink again down at you. It's offering you a meal.
Oh
It's
my
expecting you to respond somehow. How do you respond?
God. Oh my God. Okay. So, how big is this piece of meat?
I mean, I'm thinking it's like a good third to a half of an animal. Let's just say it's you said the ear, so maybe we'll say it's the hindquarters, but there's
Okay,
an ear on
there's
the
an ear
back.
there, but
Yeah,
there's a
it's
hindquarters. Okay,
yeah,
so it's large.
yeah. You could,
Okay.
in theory, like pick it up. It's just yeah.
Yeah, I think that's what. So Zeph looks up at this entity and down at this, and when nothing tries to eat him, and he instantly recognizes this some sort of gift, he says, "Thank you," and just does his dangest to hoist this because he knows he can't leave it. And um, I'll just take. Can I take this back? And he's like gonna try to take it back to the van, maybe to like
Hmm.
show that he's keeping it.
Hmm.
We'll answer
Yeah,
the,
yeah,
blood stains will be dealt with if this
sure,
is fresh meat.
yeah. Um, yeah. I think at this moment you're kind of back with it. You hear Merriweather cry out "Mother" from across. And again, the eyes blink at you, and then there's a big wings just like flap, and this shadow kind of passes on that direction. But for now, I think you will have the condition to say like all of Mother's children for fun.
I love that.
One of Mother's children, let's say, yeah.
Oh, I love that.
So yeah, Merriweather, you are I'm just gonna say that's kind of where things are going with the miss. You can always alter that with verses. But you've cried out, and I think you have basically called the Dusk mother towards you, or maybe towards cousin, but at least you've alerted this entity to where you are. Before I impose rules, is there anything that you're hoping to accomplish here? Like,
Yeah, I
obviously
think
get
I
out of
am kind
danger.
of hoping that like Mother will come save me. There might be, I'm sure there'll be a cost to that if it happens, but
Oh, that's fun. Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, I think this would be a revelation move as well. Um, I think this could be with presence based on like what Merriweather does and what you've set up before. With the skeletons, that could be interesting. What are you afraid could go wrong here? And I have to tell you how it's
Yeah.
worse than that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'll try not to make it too bad then.
Yeah.
I mean, I think Merriweather's afraid that, I mean, cousin is objectively right. Like she is an outsider that the Dusk
Mhm.
Mother does not know, and thus can be disposed of, right? And I think that, yeah, but she's afraid that, you know, she won't be worth saving. Maybe she'll be worth eating instead, something like
Mhm.
that. Yeah.
Yeah. I think that's worse than that, and also maybe for Merriweather uniquely is that even though it's a small town, word spreads, and I think the town will hear about these outsiders, and you'll be remembered poorly as this meddling outsider along with all the custodians, and whatever happens to you, it'll make it even more difficult for your companions to continue their work as well. So however you feel about that, with the Watcher, you'll just be remembered as a disappointment, basically, if you fail.
That's fair.
Uh,
Do I then have, I should stop myself from asking this question, but
oh.
is my condition coming into play here in that case?
I don't know, that's up to you. I mean, because that's more tied to the Watcher move. I don't think it needs to.
Okay.
Yeah.
I mean, I'll take that answer. Sure.
Sure.
Okay, it's a 7 on the dice, and what stat did you say?
Oh, presence.
Okay, that's an 8 then.
Nice. Okay. Yeah. So similar to what didn't happen with Zeph, but I think you are scooped up um in these sort of shadow, these like moonlit claws and this mantle of shadow feathers. Um, Very surprisingly gentle, just like lifted, but in the process, in your limbs, which have been wrapped by this other entity, there's a bit of a tug of war for a moment, and um, so I think you feel kind of prickling, like many small teeth, almost like leeches, kind of trying to like grip onto your flesh. They're torn away. Um, but I think you will take the condition blighted. So you've been bitten by rides beneath the loom. But you are lifted up, and I don't think this automatically solves a question, but this is bringing you very close to that first question, because I think you are deposited next to cousin, um, and it looks like an old abandoned nest of sorts. This sort of similar to like a osprey nest or like a eagle's nest, which like bigger branches, but the scale's larger. It's like chunks of like the tops of trees have been kind of like broken in position to make almost this shallow bowl at the top of this tree. And you also get a glimpse of the stars through the fog here, through the gloom, and you drop next to cousin, who kind of regards you for a moment. So, well, maybe mother's decided that you are part of the family now. I guess that's a good thing. Guess uh I guess I should call you auntie. Oh, So, sitting next to cousin.
I think
Yeah.
having seen like the true scale of the Dusk Mother and the dangers of the woods here, Merriweather decides that this is the time to like really commit to like really create a character, one with like real history and a point of
Nice.
view.
Yeah.
And she'll put a hand on cousin's shoulder. She says, "Cousin, I told you it's me, niece. The family called me Little Bird. I used to sing songs to you when Mother wouldn't. You know me. We're family. Family has to protect each other, okay?"
Cousin's been trailing like shawls and blankets this whole time, even climbing through the trees. But I think this point just kind of relaxes and kind of shrugs off some of these, and you see the ragged, dirty blonde hair with like twigs and moss and feathers all caught up in it, briars. For the first time, you fully like see this child's face, mud covered. They've just been running through the forest forever. Kind of look up at you like, niece, you did sing me songs. I wish I remembered the words though.
I do have a new move for this.
Oh yeah,
Also.
nice. Sweet.
I took for my advancement He of Many Faces.
Nice.
In your countless performances for the Watcher, you've played every role imaginable. Anytime you attempt to act under a false persona, name the character you're playing and roll with presence. Yeah, I think if cousin says he wishes he remembers the song, Merriweather starts, or sorry, niece starts singing. And I think I want to mark, where is it? I have that phonograph recording of a lost opera in my altar. I think I'll mark that. And she begins singing the song in like a foreign language, a language that she clearly doesn't know. Like she stumbles over the words, but it sounds, it's like this almost like high pitched, like almost sort of tweeting melody. It sounds, avian.
Nice. Yeah, so you roll with advantage with presence and see how it goes.
Okay.
Really cool.
That is a 9.
Nice. Now you can let me just check this. Yeah, on a hit, your deception is convincing enough. There's no unwanted attention. If you want a mark averse, you could bump it to a 10 to make this character a new real side character that now exists. But you don't have to do that.
Oh, that's so tempting. I think I will.
Awesome. We'll figure out how that plays out in the future. We will probably they'll probably enter a scene later once you're not there if you want. Your performance is so persuasive. You bring this character to life literally. Niece is now a real side character and will be introduced in a future session. And technically you can't use this move to impersonate that character again because now they're real. Amazing. I want to leave that scene there. I love niece and cousin just singing songs up in the starlight nest. And also we might have time if you want to answer that question before the session's over, like where the nest is. Let's go back to Bastion though, I think. Because you're approaching this angel of the Bowered companion. And you were basically saying, I've been looking for you or something, right? When we
that's right. Yeah.
Love that. Okay. Yeah, I think this is great. This is a revelation move if you want to. It's approaching you slowly. But if you really want to like make contact with this thing directly, you totally can.
Yeah, no, that sounds fair. That sounds fair.
Gosh, I have to figure out what would be happening here. This is fun. Well, what could go wrong here?
I think I will be led off the path and disappear.
Yeah, I think the way it's worse than that is if you are other people will know that you disappeared, but to you, you will be led off of your own path, and it will be hard to know where you're supposed to meet the maiden, because you'll be wandering in this fog.
Cool.
Um, yeah, so this could be presence or communion. I think the way you're approaching it, up to you.
I think I'm going to go with presence here. And do I want to? Yeah, I think as Bastion is approaching, he'll have kind of pulled a small bone out of the pack that he carries around with him, and he'll just engrave a quick sort of sigil into this bone, and kind of offer it out to the angels, of like on the palm of his hand, almost like offering sort of a treat to a dog sort of thing.
Amazing. Sweet. So advantage.
That is a 9.
Great. So you hold together. There's a complication. I think this angel slowly you kind of hold your ground here. I think especially as steward of the Cairn Maiden, you're familiar with presences like this, maybe, and where many other people would be terrified and flee, you're able to stand still and hold out this bone. And in this crude imitation of a humanoid figure, kind of like gnarled viney limbs kind of reach out and kind of grasp this bone and gently pull it from your hand. Very gently, almost. There's like maybe some thorns in this vine that kind of scrapes your palm, but not with the intention to harm you or anything. But I think does leave a little thin trace of blood on your palm. And it kind of like accepts the bone and kind of like walks backward into the fog. The complication is I just made it go away. I'm going to add a clue just for fun here, which is that the ground rumbles. You don't know whether from the presence of this thing or just the aftermath of this truck crash. You kind of look down as you're seeing the blood in your palm. You see a crack in the ground, and you see that there is blood seeping from a new fissure in the ground. It seems to kind of extend from the truck, from the earth itself. And before we talked about that kind of red clay-like soil. The complication, though, I think, is that the fog around you becomes difficult to ignore. It's kind of swirling around you, and you'll take the condition hazy as the shapes that you're seeing, again, like echoes of other forms, shapes in the fog, and it's hard to distinguish what is it's like a mirage kind of situation. So it's hard to distinguish what is a shape in the fog and what was a familiar shape. And you've just been dropped off from this location too, so it's hard to get your bearings. But all things considered, you've been touched by an angel, I guess, as they say.
Excellent.
let's go back to Zeph. You're hauling this offering to the van.
I'm about halfway there, I think, when I not even halfway there. I've just started when the Dusk Mother like zooms off to go towards Merriweather's scream, which I find concerning, deeply concerning.
Mhm.
And so I just kind of like do a half-assed job of like dragging it towards the van, just enough to look like I did it, just in case this
Mhm.
entity comes back.
Mhm.
And then I am off towards
Mhm.
that direction, just in case it sounds like somebody's trying to murder her. So like I am
Mhm.
and
Mhm.
I would rather that not be the case. That's literally the person I came here to work with. And she's
Yeah.
I don't mind. I like her company, so I don't want her to die. And
It's fair.
so um
Yeah.
and so yeah, that's I am on my way and also trying to follow this entity because
Mhm.
she seems to know where she's going
Mhm.
and is clearly probably going towards Merriweather, or at the very least that the noise Merriweather made. And
Mhm.
so these woods are dark, and so I'm trying to like follow this shadowy entity and where I think I heard the noise.
Yeah. Let me look at your conditions for a second. I
It's like,
realize I've probably been way too nice about conditions and forgetting that um that wouldn't affect you. You are one of mother's children. Um, I think in this case, maybe because of that condition, because this will be going like off of the path, kind of into
mm-hmm.
those woods. But we could treat this as an information move.
Ooh, fun.
Yeah, as far as like you are going into danger, but it won't be like immediate because you're sort of under this shadowy mantle. So let's see what
Right.
happens. I think insight.
That would make, hey, look, I actually
Yeah.
have a +1 on that. Look at that. Okay. Oh, that's a 4.
No, no. Oh dear. Okay.
Oh dear.
The 4. I think you are stumbling in the dark and there's like not exactly trails. You're seeing where there's like old planks, like maybe it used to be a proper like footpath going across, like mini footbridge going across some of this bog, and it's sunken down, and you're trying to find your way, and you turn and you bump into someone. And this they got like a hunter's cap, like a camo um baseball cap, long gray ponytail, um, got a rifle over their arm, and they just say like, "Whoa, friend, kind of dangerous in these woods. Shouldn't you be off in? You're not in your. What are you doing in our neck of the woods here? I think you're kind of far from your hometown, aren't you? What are
I'm
you doing snooping around these are my hunting trails, friend."
Oh, oh my goodness. I had no idea. No, I'm just looking for a friend. We were hiking and got separated. I did not mean I'm not here to to trespass or anything.
Not exactly hiking trails here, Um,
Are really? Oh, I was
the
misinformed.
box sinking under you practically.
Right,
Yeah.
right. It is like literally the worst possible environment, and Zeph just acts like, what? I cannot. That is. I got misled. Frankly, I'm going to lodge a
That's your
complaint.
van up there. You might want to tend to that. Things seem to tend to be drawn to lights around here. Not in the best way. You know what I mean?
Really? No, I don't. What do you mean?
I think so this character's like, look, we need to get out of here. Name's Ridley. Um
Right.
I don't know what you're doing around our town, but I'm just, I don't even like even trespassers. I don't like to see them fed to these woods. Let's say woods takes enough as it is, and certainly hasn't been giving us much of anything. So I think as they're kind of looking back, they're like, now you look like you've been doing all right for yourself, though. Kind of eyeing that like chunk of a carcass like on the ground or whatever.
Yes, just happened upon it. It was a rather lucky find. If you it just seems like it was just sort of seems like these just things happen, if you're out in the woods. Um but no, seriously, I am looking for someone. Have you seen anyone else out here at all other than me?
We'll cut back to that. I think for now, I'm gonna give you this was an 8, right?
Yeah.
No,
Oh
this was
wait,
a
no, 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 no.
miss.
Oh,
Sorry,
yeah,
this
no,
is a
this
full
was a
miss.
total miss. Sorry, yeah,
Total
no.
miss.
Total
Yeah.
miss.
This
goofed.
person, like, they're nice enough, but I think you're gonna take the condition outsider.
Nice.
Like, clearly you don't know what you're doing here,
Not at
and
all.
I think Ridley here is gonna notice, like, now you weren't just hunting either. You were scavenging. It looks like that's from the Hopworth plant where all those troubles are happening. Interesting, very interesting. Look, they start kind of hustling. Like, you need to pack this up. We need to get out of here. Um, and start hustling you away. So that's kind of the miss, I think, condition is that you're
Yeah.
not going to be able to find Merriweather.
No, I have been shooed away
Yeah,
by a person with a gun.
yeah, and you almost faintly, you swear you hear like some very very musical bird calls, almost from up in the canopy. Can't be sure. Um, we have a little bit more time though. Elle, do you want to try to answer that first question? We got a good amount of clues for this one.
Yeah, that sounds fun.
Let's look at our
So
clues.
where's the nest? Where's the angel's nest located?
Hmm.
Hmm. I should have been thinking about this.
All good. Well, it's a group effort here. So you have 4 clues. You have a painting of a human body splayed, tarred and feathered, a rapturous expression on its face, and its mouth open as if in song. You have densely clumped mushroom soil and feathers like an owl pellet. There's the taxidermied possum dressed in a suit in the skeleton's kitchen. And then out here in the woods, there was the multi-winged effigy of twigs and feathers up in a tree that was looked like it had been there for a while.
Maybe the effigy or the owl pellet could be like, oh, like, or maybe the effigy could be like looking in the direction of the nest, like facing towards it.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, that's a good thought.
I'm wondering with the that owl pellet that's sort of grown out of mushrooms, if maybe rather than maybe this maybe mother actually lives under the ground, almost like those sort of nesting owls.
Oh, interesting. That's pretty cool. Yeah, because just to avoid confusion, I did have Merriweather plopped in like a nest up in the tree, but I was picturing that as like maybe an abandoned nest of some other actual birds. Like, it's not big enough for this entity.
Nice.
So the nest could be underground. Could be interesting.
Yeah, what do you think about that?
Yeah, maybe the human body splayed, tarred and feathered. Maybe it's not tar, it's the kind of sludgy bog. But it's a bog sludge, right?
Yeah,
That's
yeah.
covered in feathers because of the like embrace of the Dusk Mother. It's like her wings or her feathers like falling off onto it as she, dragged it underground to her lair.
Oh, that
Hmm.
is so cool. And I mean, if you really want to include the possum that I haphazardly threw in as the clue, Possums do sometimes nest, like they have these like little, I don't know if you've seen them, but they're like these, they can have these underground nests. They'll nest anywhere, but like they'll get under things. They'll like get under your house, or uh they'll burrow, and they have these like sort of rounded nests, kind of like what David was saying about the burrowing owls. It's a very similar kind of, from my experience and from what I know, similar sort of burrowing behavior.
Yeah, that could point to, I mean, we don't know what the skeletons are up to the rest of the time. If they're going back and forth to this nest, that could be interesting. Um, did I miss the painting part? Have we talked about that yet?
Maybe.
If you want to use it, because sorry, there's a complexity too. So you have 4 clues, but you don't have to use all of them necessarily.
Yeah, I think one of the Dusk Mother's victims, human meals, might have been like seen by this artist that painted that mural. Maybe after she, takes her food to the lair and eats the things that are actually edible, she basically like mounts the remains of the meal as a warning to other angel predators.
I love that. That's so good.
Grizzly, that's good. So it's underground, it's somewhere. Do we think because you'll have the opportunity to then like further pursue like the nature of this angel in this situation. But I think in answering this, are you thinking that it's underground in these woods, or underground like closer to the skeleton's ranch, or anything more specific? Because here in the woods, we've been having this like weird mushroom bog entity interaction too. So I'm just curious how that might interact if it's out here.
Yeah, I think for my vote, I think in the woods is interesting because we can explore the relationship between the Dusk Mother and this other mushroom entity.
I agree. I think that could be really fun to see what, if it's symbiotic or if they're like competitors
Mm-hmm.
ignoring each other. Unlikely.
Yeah. Yeah, it's pretty straightforward. And it's like low complexity. So I think if you want to use all those, it would be a +2. You want to roll it, Elle, since you've been the most in the middle of this one?
Sure. Yeah. Okay, one of the dice landed like kind of cocked on the edge, so I'm gonna re-roll it. Okay, it's an 8.
Okay. So nice. So it's correct, but there's sort of a complication, or pursuing this will be a little more difficult. I like what someone said about wondering if there's a symbiotic relationship. I think I'm going to say the complication is that it is competitive. I think this fungal god is, um, it's the forest below the forest. It's everywhere. It's growing, but it's trying to take what offerings it can as well. And so, when you do find the nest, it's sort of being invaded by like these weird, like muscly mushroom strands we've talked about, and there's an effort to like clear it out. Well, I guess we'll explore that further next section, but yeah, I think in your moment up in the nest with cousin, cousin says like, well, since mother really has chosen you, and I'm remembering now better. I think I was just really little when you were here, but it's not safe up here. I mean, mother brought us here, but it's not safe for long. We should go down below, in the cave that she made for us. Sometimes when things aren't safe up here, we can go down there and sleep, and that will lead to cousin showing you where the nest is.
Merriweather follows when she's like, sleep? Like, in the woods, like outside.
Yeah, I guess it is like middle of the night here now. Yeah. Well, I think we'll save that for like how you get there and what that looks like for the next session. That'll be fun. For the sake of time, let's leave it there. I think maybe Ridley insists on. You don't really know why yet, but I think being an outsider, Zeph really is sort of like, look, you can't leave this van here. I don't know what you're up to. Looks like you're doing all right for yourself, but I'm not going to have my town caught up in this any more than it is. So we're going to drive this van out of here. Now they'll sort of guide you safely out of this back road, maybe back to town, such as it is.
And he's just
pick that
like,
up.
awesome,
Yeah.
great, thanks.
Yeah. Great, and we have Bastion just on the edge of the Whispering Plains, but at the site of this this crashed, tipped over truck, with just a couple clues, encountering an angel directly already. Let's go to end of session questions, and then we'll do stars and wishes. I forgot to mention end of session questions. Hopefully you marked them or picked different ones if you wanted. Everyone encountered a divine entity for sure. And we completed an assignment, so mark those two. Bastion, did you struggle with your personal faith?
I don't think I really did today. No.
It was interesting to see you interact with this other angel a little bit, but fair enough. Did you go out of your way to connect the local community?
I wouldn't say out of my way. No.
Yeah. Just part of a day's work.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I think you're on the edge there as far as like you're out here alone. You're definitely going to meet this whoever lives in this new town and that sort of thing. All right, and then Zeph, did you deliver a monologue about any of those topics?
I'm not sure if my rambling about how great I think the wire-bitten child is.
Oh yeah, no, that makes
it
sense.
Counts?
Yeah, I think so.
Okay,
about the
awesome.
horrors that society accepts as good and necessary. Yeah, you were all about that.
Yeah, I was like, I didn't know if it was okay, if it counted if I was very pro horrors.
No, I think that's very much how you interpret it. If it's a monologue, yeah.
Awesome.
Did you undermine the orders of your superiors or use the assignment to pursue personal interests?
Not quite, I don't think. I don't think I got there, so no.
Okay, fair enough. And then Merriweather, did you struggle with your personal faith?
Not this time so much, no.
Fair enough. And you definitely connected with the local community. You really went out on a limb here with Cousin. So yeah, absolutely.
Literally, yeah.
I was about to say.
Yeah. Awesome. Stars and wishes. I'll say stars. There were multiple times when like when custodians chose to engage really directly with these beings, like Bastion just like seeing this creepy angel thing and walking up to it, and Merriweather being like, well, I guess I'm gonna call out for Mother here and see what happens. Those are really fun moments. Stars to the resolution of young Jolly Junk, with Elle having a crazy idea there, and I had fun putting Zeph on the spot with the media moment. Just the whole scene was really fun to tie that together. Also stars for me running Bowered Companion. I haven't played this one before, but I was realizing how well it fits with the Dusk Mother because you're both like out in the woods. So like the atmosphere like felt very seamless. And wishes to see the good doctor back next time. And maybe a little more journey scenes, maybe see what else comes up with like our conspiracy stuff and whatever complicated assignment you get next.
Oh man, so many stars, so many stars. I love how buck wild everybody's decisions always are. That's just so, oh my gosh. The every time Merriweather like just doubled down with this whole skeleton family thing was just delicious. It was that's such a fun way to approach this whole thing. I love it. I'm obsessed. And Bastion, like, instantly engaging with this angel was that's so cool. That's so cool. Like, I, he's so unshakable. And I really love that in just like a very gentle, calm way. And I really just, I find that so fascinating in a character. And both Bastion and Merriweather's like little verses. Oh, like at the beginning, I say little, they were massive cinematic masterpieces that made me very sad, and I loved it. Both of you. I, yeah, I know Elle was saying that she'd sue David for emotional damages, but I'm suing you both of you, countersuing. Stars to Gabriel for like I love how you handle the pacing of this with we have people in so many different places and the pacing always feels so seamless. I loved your physicality with like the saint. That was like so cool. Like I love your physicality with the characters. It's delicious. It adds a lot of sort of theatrics to it that I'm obviously a fan of theatrics. And I'm just very and I'm honored that you have chosen Bowered Companion to run it. I
Oh,
am
it's so
excited to
good.
see it
Yeah,
in
we
play.
had to. Yeah.
I'm excited to see it in play. I'm excited to see what people do with it. I'm always interested to see what people run with these things that I had no answers, questions I had no answers for when I wrote them. So, wishes. I'm just very excited to see more backstory from everybody. I always love more backstory. I want the good doctor back. I'm very excited to see what he decides to do with all of this backwoods drama. Um, yeah, I'm always excited for the next session. So
Yeah, I am on board with all the stars that have been said so far. I also want to add that I really enjoyed like the oil motif and how that like moved through the session, and the way that David's verse like tied into like there's a theme of mothers and like nurturing that's emerging, and like I said, I always find the sort of literary motifs when they pop up in RPG sessions, they make me very happy. Um, yeah, for individual stars, Zeph in front of the cameras was like so funny. Um, as a star for how B played that, but also a star for Gabriel for even introducing it. Amazing, fantastic. Um, I loved Zeph's reaction to the very awesome festival description that Bastion slash David gave. He's like, "Oh, how quaint! That's lovely." It was like I love that whole journey scene. I thought it was amazing. So starts with both of you for that. Um, David, yeah, I love the whole verse. I love the line. I only get back for funerals these days. I love the like slow realization that I was having about Bastion's mother and the implications, and it was so oh my god, very well done. Um, yeah, and Gabriel, I love the way you portrayed the media and like how you snuck in the sort of satirical bits about their kind of corporate interests. I thought it was really fun. I loved the moment where you revealed the like muscle tissue inside the bark. That was so creepy. And oh yeah, the moment where it's like, oh, you see two moons. Oh, actually, they're eyes. That unfolded in such a great way. It felt very cinematic. So yeah, wishes. Yeah, I hope John's able to join us next time. I would also love to see more journey scenes. I'm really loving the vibes of the Bowered Companion so far, and I'm super excited to like engage with that threat mystery assignment. There we go. That's the terminology.
With a growing list of terms for all these Brindlewood games, it's a
Yeah.
lot.
Um, oh, and I will note that I did mark the verse of the Dreaming Nest for whatever role I was bumping
Cool.
up. So everyone's gonna have to narrate that next time.
Yeah, stars all around. It was a really good session. So many good bits. I mean, obviously, loads have been mentioned already. Oh, just one like tiny thing, but it just made me laugh. But the just the line "no shade" on the chittering. It was just like, yeah, that was great. I mean, I really enjoyed that whole bit and that kind of, yeah, that the whole, like, yeah, that interaction was great, but just that one line was just really got me. Um, I really, yeah, I really enjoyed Elle's, verse at the beginning was really sort of beautiful, even as it was horrific sort of thing. I loved that. It was really nicely done. And I loved the interactions, like both Gabriel and Elle between Merriweather and the Skeltons. Just that whole bit was great, and all the different characters and how he sort of played off each other. It was I really enjoyed those moments. Um, yeah, no, absolutely great session. Nothing major in terms of wishes. Again, let's wish more. A reminder to myself. I do also have another verse from last time, in fact, to do, which again I'll probably try and get at the beginning of next session. But that is, I think, it. Yeah.
Well, I'll try to remember verses, or even in between breaks, maybe spread them out, because they're so powerful, the verses everyone's been doing. I guess that's a selfish wish for me. Not even, it's beyond the scope of this game, but y'all with your verses, I just want to see more stuff you write in this setting, because everything you're adding to the fiction is incredible. And yeah, just think about that. It'll be fun. So any other stars or wishes? Yeah, go ahead.
Seconding that, Gabriel, I want to
Yeah.
see Elle and David write stuff for this setting, because you both are so fabulous at this. Like,
Mhm.
just delicious. I want you to write an assignment, both of you, or something, please.
Stay tuned. Yeah, amazing. Great session. Thanks so much, everyone. I'm gonna stop the recording and pick it up next time.